Everybody, it's me again. I am coming today to talk to you about resistance, which is a really big thing that is made even bigger because it's the reason a lot of us don't do the things we know we want to do, the things we know that would make the biggest difference in our lives. But when we don't realize that we have this resistance, we keep these patterns like perpetuating over time. And so it's a really big deal, resistance. And that's what I want to talk to you today about in the vlog. So I am Jessica Graham Robinson of sacredspacehealingarts.com. And here we go. So you may have heard this recently, the idea that we get in our own way, right? Like that we're getting in our own way. Like we're the reason. I'm the reason that I'm not happy. You're the reason that you're not happy, right? Not some other person, not some circumstance. Because in reality, it's our perception usually of the situation that is causing the biggest problem. So let me just start with saying that resistance in and of itself is not a bad thing. The reason that we have resistance is because our minds, our egos are trying to protect us because change can often be scary, right? So staying where you are, even if it's uncomfortable, can feel it can feel not great, but sometimes it can feel more enticing than taking that step in a positive new direction. Because when we step into that positive new direction, we've never been there before. So we don't know what's coming next, and it can feel scary and overwhelming. So that's what resistance is. It's really a self-protection mechanism. It's not a bad thing in and of itself. It only becomes a bad thing effectually when we don't recognize what it is, and we don't recognize that we are getting in our own way. So I just want to talk about some of the ways that this shows up in our everyday lives, some of the reasons behind why we're not doing the things that we know we could be doing to make our lives more amazing, right? So you probably know what to do, right? A lot of things that you could be doing to live a healthier, happier life. And so in and of itself, that sometimes can actually be what stops you, is because rather than reaching out for help, you say to yourself, I already know, right? So that's what I hear a lot in the circle of women or people who already have a good amount of knowledge in this area, right? So I was one of those people, and I kind of had a chip on my shoulder too about, I know what to do. I know what's healthy. I know what I should be doing. No, thank you. I've got this. But I was secretly suffering because I wasn't following through with what I knew I needed to be doing in order to live the life I wanted to live. This isn't something that goes away either. This is like a whole life journey. So I'm not saying that I don't do that anymore. I'm just saying that I call it out now. I see it. And so one of the things that I see with other teachers, with other healers, with other practitioners or wellness professionals is that oftentimes we are reluctant to seek help from another wonderful person on the path because we've got that a little bit of a hard shell on, and we've got the attitude of, I know what to do. I don't need your help. Like, I already know that. It's not the knowledge, though. That's not what makes the difference. It's the experience. It's having someone who's already done that and is on the other side, or at least like further along than you are, to kind of help you on your way so that you can be the one in control, so that you can be the healer, so that you can be proud and excited and feel like you have integrity and trust and confidence in yourself because you are following through, right? But sometimes it takes help. And I'll be the first one to say that I've had plenty of help on the way, and I'm still seeking help all the time. And if it wasn't for the coaches and the mentors and the teachers that I work with, I don't know where I would be. So that's one. That's not being open, even though we are in this open wellness field, not being open-minded, beginner-minded, knowing and living the fact that you can learn something new, or you can learn how to implement something you already knew better by reaching out for help. So that's one way that we stop ourselves from doing what we need to do, right? Not asking for help. Another way that we do that is by, Ayurveda breaks it down into 3 different mulas. And the mulas are ways that we sabotage ourselves, ways that we lie to ourselves, basically, like we veil ourselves, and that like little excuse gets in the way. So there's Anava Mala, Maya Mala, and Karma Mala. And so hopefully I'm not mixing these up and getting them right, but Anava Mala is the one where we kind of convince ourselves that we're different. Nobody knows our pain. Nobody's flawed like us. Like, it's just, it's that thing, like, you're different. You're isolating yourself and telling yourself that you have a special reason that's you can't change. It won't work for you, right? And that's just not true, because we all feel that way. It's just like a mental kind of trap. And so the way that we can fix that is by reaching out. When you actually reach out to another person that you trust, that you can say, this is the pattern that I've been stuck in. This is the story I'm telling myself. When you can reach out and tell someone that, whether it's in a Facebook group like the one that I have, or a friend that you meet for coffee, right? Or a person on the phone. Regardless, if you reach out, you are taking the step to the other side. That's the beginning of you moving past your resistance. That's not a real thing, but it's a perceived thing, right? So reaching out actually transforms what's going on inside of you, that you block that pattern, like that habitual pattern of isolation and of like feeling like you're different and of getting in your own way. So you actually break that cycle when you do that. Not that it won't come around again, but it breaks it that time. And then the next time it comes around, it won't be quite as strong. It'll be easier to bust through because you've done it before. So reaching out, okay? That's how we help ourselves get out of the perception of us being different, of Anava Mala. Maya Mala is when we're hypercritical, kind of like seeing things black and white, critical of ourselves, critical of other people, critical of our circumstances, and we're using those things as excuses as to why we can't do whatever it takes in order to make those positive changes that we want to make and that we know would make our lives better. And so the way that we combat that is by getting in touch with our hearts and helping another person or having empathy with another person, really like getting deeper into seeing what's behind that criticism. So an easier way to do that, I think, is to look at another person first if you're really stuck in that, and take a deep breath and soften and see if you can empathize with another person and help another person. And then that softness you can then bring to yourself and do the same thing. The last of the mulas is Karma Mala, and that's really just not taking the actions, not like we know what to do, but we're doing, instead of taking the right actions, maybe we're taking the wrong actions. I can't because of this, right? There's always excuses. And the fact is, it's mainly perception that stops us from doing things. So what I want you to think about now is, how do you self-sabotage? Because we all do these, and we really all do all of them. But what is the specific way that it shows up in your life so that it's an excuse? Anytime you hear an excuse over and over, whether it's I don't have enough time, I don't have enough money, I'm a single mom. That was my excuse for a long time. And it probably still is my excuse for some things. But it's like looking at those excuses and getting really real, really honest with, is this true? Because guess what? I didn't know this until a few years ago, or it wasn't that long ago, that every thought that comes into your head is not true. Thoughts are just thoughts. They are just passing. And a lot of them are complete crap. So you have to ask yourself, is this true? All the time, especially and always if it is a disturbing thought, like something that is repetitive, negative, uncomfortable, reason for sadness, anger, frustration, anxiety, any of those things. You want to ask yourself, is this true? And I learned that from Byron Katie, who's a wonderful author and speaker and teacher and helper. And just it's such a simple thing and obvious once you really think about it and get to the other side of that. But don't believe everything you think. Okay? So I am going to challenge you to post below, what are the ways that you notice you self-sabotage? What are the excuses that you hear over and over? You can just tell me one, right? And what is it that it's getting in the way of? Is it getting in the way of you doing your physical exercise? Is it getting in the way of you eating better? Is it getting in the way of you doing the daily things that need to be done in order for you to feel good? What is it for you? So I hope this in some way inspires you to know that we all have this, and just because you feel an obstacle or resistance, you notice your old patterns, there's nothing wrong with you. That this is the way we all are as humans. And it just takes seeing it and saying it. So acknowledge and name it, and then talk to somebody about it. If you'd like to join my Facebook group, it's called Health Revolution Inner Wisdom Circle. And what it is a space where we can all talk about these kinds of things in a little more detail, and we can get personal because it's not on a public page like this. So if you're interested, I will drop the link below. I also have a super awesome summer challenge going on right now. It's a 13-week challenge spanning throughout June, July, and August. And during that time, every week on Thursday at 12 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, I am broadcasting live in a little circle inside that group and sharing a new tool that you can use right away. Doesn't cost you anything. You don't need any equipment. You don't need anything at all. Just showing up, trying it out, and figuring out some new ways to move past some of the ways that we get in our own way. So I hope you will join. I will put both of those links below. If you join the challenge, it happens in the Facebook group, so you will get the link to join the group there anyway. All right, I'm signing off, and I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I look forward to reading your comments about how you self-sabotage and what you're going to do about it. All right. Until next time, namaste.